With his recent appearance in Multiversus and a sequel hitting theaters in just a couple of weeks, I think it's safe to say that Beetlejuice is officially back. That's right, the Michael Keaton character created 36 years ago is suddenly everywhere, and I couldn't be more excited. All this excitement reminded me that there were a pair of 8-bit Beetlejuice games published by LJN in the 1990s, one for the Nintendo Entertainment System and the other for the Game Boy. With no new Nintendo Switch Online games to talk about this week, and the TimeSplitters games on the PlayStation Plus already covered, I thought it might be fun to see if either of those Beetlejuice games are actually worth playing. You know, just in case Limited Run Games eventually announces a compilation or something. To answer that question, I decided to flip through the pages of Nintendo Power, GamePro, and more classic magazines to see what the critics said back when these games first came out. Oh boy, I sure hope you've been studying the Handbook for the recently deceased, because this is going to be a spooky episode of Beetlejuice Review Crew.
Yahoo! It's me, Beetlejuice. Yo, Adam, check out my great new house, the Vanishing Vault.
Scary.
Each sold separately.
Just lie down inside and say, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice.
Even small. I'm scary. Boo.
Ah! Now, back to normal.
Beetlejuice. Let me try it.
Beetlejuice. Where'd he go? And that's why they call it the Vanishing Vault. Welcome back. So how was the vault?
I lost my head over it.
Ah!
Beetlejuice Vanishing Vault comes with micro figure. Other figures sold separately.
When Beetlejuice was first released in March of 1988, it was an unlikely hit at the box office, to say the least. It was a ghoulishly fun comedy from a 30-year-old Tim Burton whose only other feature film credit was Pee-wee's Big Adventure. But despite the morbid subject matter and the themes of death, Beetlejuice debuted at number 1, where it spent 4 straight weeks at the top of the box office. It actually ended up being the 10th highest grossing movie of 1988, grossing $75 million in the US, the equivalent of nearly $200 million if adjusted for inflation. This success ultimately led to a Beetlejuice animated show on ABC and Fox Kids that ran for 94 episodes, followed by a Nintendo Entertainment System game in 1991. This 8-bit cartridge married elements from both the movie and the cartoon to create an original game that was developed by Rare and infamously published by LJN. I don't know if the magazines at the time weren't fans of the ghost with the most, or if the LJN logo scared them off, but there are really only 2 English language reviews for Beetlejuice on the NES. Let's go ahead and start with the lower of the 2 scores, which came from Nintendo Power. They gave the side-scroller a score of 2.9 out of 5 and compared it to another recent LJN title. Bearing a striking resemblance to LJN's A Nightmare on Elm Street, Beetlejuice is yet another action-packed game loosely based on a popular movie. This one has many of the same characters and objects portrayed in the movie, but does not closely follow the story. As Beetlejuice, you must avoid enemies and obstacles and fight your way to the netherworld. As it turns out, GamePro ended up liking the game considerably more than Nintendo Power, and pretty much everybody else that played it at the time. They gave it a 4 out of 5, arguing that Beetlejuice is a good brain teaser where the challenging gameplay overcomes average-looking graphics. Can you scare the Deetses? Well, you've got a ghost of a chance. Alright, look, I'll be honest with you. Neither of these are very good reviews, but you work with what you have. If I were you, I wouldn't be in a huge rush to play the NES version of Beetlejuice, that's for sure. Released 1 year after the NES game, Beetlejuice on the Game Boy is based more on the animated series than the Tim Burton movie. Once again, we get another side-scrolling platformer from Rare that is published by LJN. When Lydia is kidnapped, Beetlejuice will go on a mad hunt that'll take him from the kitchen to the attic to the netherworld itself. Alright, yeah, this is kind of a flimsy premise for a video game. But you know what? The critics actually liked this Game Boy title. No, really! N-Force ended up giving it an 86% in their first issue. Shades, yes, Shades, said, "This is an arcade platform and puzzler. What a refreshing change. Visually, Beetlejuice is a real treat with oodles of animation. The graphics are converted from the cartoon series of the movie, and the characters look just as appealing on the Game Boy as on the big screen. Get stuck in." Believe it or not, N-Force wasn't alone. Video games and computer entertainment also liked the game, going as high as giving it an 8 out of 10. Surprised? Yeah, so was the critic. The biggest surprise out of the box this month has got to be Beetlejuice, based on the Saturday morning cartoon show. Acclaim has made a name for itself by inking license agreements with movies, TV shows, and comic book creators like they're going out of style. But the success of the Game Boy software depends more on the skills of the game designer than on the basis of a hot license. That being the case, Beetlejuice shines because it was developed by Rare. The game has a great sense of humor. Witness the talking head intermissions in which BJ repeatedly refers to Lydia as my chickadee, pretty missy, and Lid's baby. A bouncy musical score adds to the fun, and the fact that all the game's sound effects are strangely confined to the extreme right or left of the stereo spectrum only serves to augment the unique qualities that make Beetlejuice a wonderfully refreshing Game Boy title. Now, not all of the reviews were as positive as N-Force in video games and computer entertainment. Nintendo Power once again gave the game a 2.9 out of 5, the same score that they gave the NES game. GamePro, on the other hand, dropped the score a full point, giving the Game Boy title a very so-so 3 out of 5. That said, you might not realize it by the blurb from this review. The game is almost as much fun as Beetlejuice is weird. Beetlejuice is easy to keep under control as he bops along to the likable music. The graphics are hard-hitting with lots of detail. Want a fright night or day? Just say Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice. Based on these reviews, it really sounds like the 1992 Game Boy release is the way to go. That is, if you absolutely must play a Beetlejuice game. I mean, nobody's forcing you, so chances are you're not gonna play either of these games. And, maybe that's for the best.
It's a gloomy day in my neighborhood.
Hey, Beetlebum! Off my grass!
Beetlebum, mow this food! You old buzzard. Oh, it's a gloomy day.
Beetlebum, off my street!
Gonna be one of those days. Booga booga! Go rat on somebody else. Hey, now there's an outfit that's me. Figure sold separately. Ta-da!
Skipping school, Mr. Buckjuice?
He's not Buckjuice. It's Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice.
Hey, thanks for watching me break down these classic reviews. I know it's an unusual episode since these games aren't actually coming out to a modern console. But come on, how much you want to bet that Limited Run Games is just days away from announcing a pre-order campaign for a Beetlejuice collection? And if that happens, what I'm gonna do is just re-record the intro and then re-release the episode all over again. Just you wait. Now, here's the question I have for you. Should Beetlejuice have another shot at a video game? And if so, what kind would you want? My mind immediately goes to a point-and-click adventure game, but then I feel like a lot of that ground's already been covered with Grim Fandango. I don't know, maybe a Japanese turn-based role-playing game. Let me see your thoughts in the comments below. In other news, we'll be back next week with some big reviews. No, really, stuff that we've actually been waiting for. I mean it. While you wait for that, I strongly recommend you click that subscribe button and support what we're doing here. Until then,